me that while being escorted to the car, he asked, I'm going to summarize what I remember, what I was told, that he was telling a joke, and he told the juror, or he told the officer, you know, he made a reference to telling a joke about why did it take 7 shots to shoot Jacob Blake, something to that effect. It dealt with shots and it dealt with Jacob Blake. And I did reveal it to you attorneys yesterday, and at the close of the day, after giving it some thought, there was a request by the state to excuse juror 7, and the last word ahead was the defense objected.
Well, Judge, I think that I would object to at least having I would ask that the juror come in.
And I want to hear his
right.
side of it before I do anything.
Right.
But I did want to get your position. Or you don't want to form a position until you've heard from him?
I think that's the appropriate thing to do.
Okay, and I think you're right. Let's.
Can I just add a little bit, Your Honor?
Oh, please do.
Yes. What I heard from you yesterday, and I understand this is literally fourth hand from the juror to Lieutenant Zerline to you to us. So I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what the juror said, but it was my understanding it was something along the lines of, why did the Kenosha police shoot Jacob Blake 7 times? That's what I thought you had said to us. And
that may have been.
Sure. That puzzled me for a moment, and you made it sound like it was the beginning of a joke, so I wondered what the rest of the joke is. It's my understanding that the rest of the joke is because they ran out of bullets. To me, that is, anyone who would find that funny would be finding the implication that if the Kenosha police had more than 7 bullets, they would have continued to shoot Jacob Blake. Which I think comes into play in the subtext of this case. And beyond that, for a juror in the midst of a trial like this, which stems from the Jacob Blake, may I finish, Your Honor?
No, you can't, because I think that the better course is to let the juror respond, and then I'll certainly want to hear the rest of what you have to say. But I would think it would become better after he's had a chance to respond.
Understood. Thank you.
So, is he, I assume he's on this level? He's upstairs? Or would you ask him to come down, please? Yeah, get a deputy.
Is there anybody in back?
Your Honor, the other matter that was pending was Mr. Binger's objection to my question.
Yeah.
I will withdraw that question. It's going to come in with the next witness, and that's fine.
As you wish. Then the next thing is a note from a juror.
We came this morning.
Well, I've got 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, the one from yesterday. This came at the end of the day yesterday.
Well, I gave you.
I think you've already been given copies. Yes, please. Bring them over. Bring them over here. So I assume that's easier than him squeezing through here. It's been a challenge for him. And this says, I heard the name of Lucas Zanin. Something in today's. Does that say video? Is that what that says? I heard the name of Lucas Zanin something, video maybe. In today's testimony, I never heard his name in the jury polling, which I'm quite sure it was in there. I know of someone with that name, have never discussed anything about this case prior to this, nor was I aware he did video of the happenings For all I know, it's not even the same person, but did want this disclosed to you. Anybody want to do anything about this letter?
I would just note, I think the name was read by both sides. But
I was quite sure that it had been read.
Beyond that, I don't think any action needs to be taken.
Is he a videographer too?
He took what's been referred to as the video on 63rd, looking at car source. It's already been played.
Oh, okay, no, okay.
It's not a common name, so I'm sure it's the same Lucas Zan.
Yeah. You want to do anything about it?
No.
State?
No.
Okay. This is the one I just received. And it just says number 49 express, I guess this is probably written by one of the bailiffs. Number 49 expressed that he cannot see videos with his trifocals mentioned in jury room after day was over. Number 49, having trouble seeing due to his trifocals.
Can we maybe talk to the bailiff and put him in a seat where he can see?
Let's hope. Number 49. See if there's a better location where he can sit and still be able to see the videos. And also, if there's any videos that he definitely feels he needs to view again, we need to know about that. Okay. Then, one more thing. After I took a poll from the jury yesterday about the heating conditions in here, it came out about two to one in favor of saying that the temperature was okay. Not everyone agreed with that, and so I had it mildly adjusted because it had been turned down quite a bit the day before. While we were in the library on Monday, apparently it did get quite warm in here. So I said, well, turn it up halfway to where you turned it down. So I'm going to ask the jury how they thought the temperature was yesterday. The reason I'm doing that is because my wife caught a little bit of the action on television yesterday and told me that the media were complaining that it was stiflingly hot in. Is that true? How many in the audience portion, media or not, felt it was extraordinarily warm in here yesterday? You were cold. Okay, well, I may bring my heater up here, so I'll let you sit up here and try to benefit from that. Nobody's complaining. Well, someone apparently did on TV, so I don't know. Good morning, sir. Can you give him a handheld? Yeah, thank you.
The court reporter.
Sure, can you move over so the reporter can see you just about 10 feet over towards the back door, or the front door rather? A little bit more.
Right here?
Right there is good? Okay. The reason I asked you to come down was I was told that while you were being escorted to the car the other day, that you began to tell a joke about the shooting of Jacob Blake, and I wanted to see if is that accurate or not. It is? Okay. Are you comfortable repeating what the joke was, or do you want to just leave it alone? I'm going to tell you that I spoke about. Well, I guess I'll hear from Mr. Did you want to finish what you were saying? I will tell you that I've talked quite a bit about public confidence in the outcome of the trial, and regardless of whether the issue is as grave as you presented it in terms of inner feelings, it is clear that the appearance of bias is present. and it would seriously undermine the outcome of the case. So that in itself would be sufficient cause for discharge, but if you want to expand on that, you're welcome to.
No, Your Honor.
Did you want to say anything, defense?
If number 7's unwilling to repeat it, what it was, I think we're at a disadvantage, and I suppose his unwillingness can be taken in the worst light. So, based on the unwillingness at this point, I think it's probably the proper course.
Okay. All right. I think the best thing out of the circumstances, I'm going to dismiss you from the jury, sir. And we do thank you for taking the time to come down here. Thank you.
My feelings is that it was nothing to do with the case. It wasn't anything to do with Kyle and his 7 charges.
No, here, and I have not, I've not stated that you have, it's not, one of the things that I have to do when I have to make judgments, I try to confine my judgments to the things I have to judge and not forming opinions about other people other than that. So I don't want to get into that. The point I'm making is that the public needs to be confident that this is a fair trial. And I think even at the very most, it was bad judgment to tell a joke of that nature. Okay, so that's okay. Thank you very much, sir. Did I say at the very least or at the very most? At the very least, it was bad judgment. All right. Now, anything else other than checking the jury's temperature?
If the question is being withdrawn, then there's no need to resolve the objection, and we can continue with the testimony, I think.
Splendid.
Judge, I would ask that if you just address the jury generally and instruct them that if they cannot hear or see anything, to let us know immediately, as we've already gone through
Oh,
now
yes, that's
2 days.
that's an
Okay.
excellent point.
I told him to be the first one down so that he could sit where it to be what's best for him. The videos he talked about the FBI shoot
Okay.
I couldn't see, so
Okay.
I told him to wait and then talk to you directly because he's got trifles.
Okay.
That issue is trying to focus
Sure.
on
Sure.
as
Sure.
fast as we do. So
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. I still need. No, he's free to go. Okay, ready to go?
Hello?
Would you come down, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
38. I'll put it on. Yeah. So, yeah, 85 is 38.
Not the first one down. This one? Yeah, there's a request. Serve this. The jurors come before Court TV, and I think Court TV's been doing a wonderful job, but we can't have that monitor there. Pardon me?
Well, at least for right now.
Well, why don't you call somebody up from Court TV and see if there's a way that'll work for everybody?
They can't see Mr. Richards when he's looking. The TV is in front of Mr. Richards.
Yeah, I think down might be a good start.
No, but I think you got any space.
Will it fit over here where we've been using the easel?
We run into the same problem with that one.
Court TV seems to be okay with that, so.
Is okay with what?
Moving it over by the bar.
Okay. All right, now the next thing is, yesterday, if you recall, I asked you about your comfort level in terms of temperature, and you took a vote, and it was about 2-1 in favor of that things had been just about right. I thought it was cold. And guess what? So I had him nudge it up a little bit. Now, I shouldn't have told you that. I should have just asked you how was the temperature yesterday. How many felt it was too warm in here yesterday? How many felt it was too cold? How many were just perfect? Look at that. Wonderful. What a wonderful jury to work with. Okay, and finally, Mr. Number 7 is no longer on the jury. I've dismissed him, and so we'll proceed with the 19 of you. Okay, anything else? Let's go.
Show me what's been marked as Exhibit 37. Could you tell me what that is?
This is a search warrant for Gage Grosskreuz's cell phone.
And what is the date and time that's on the front page of that at the lower left corner?
September 23rd, 2020 at 8:12 p.m.
Okay. And that was the day before the interview of Gage Grosskreutz.
I believe so.
Move Exhibit 37 into evidence.
Is there objection?
No. Detective, on August 26th of 2020, you were at the Antioch Police Department and informed Kyle Rittenhouse that he was being detained for the charge of first-degree murder at approximately 6:40 a.m., correct?
That sounds about right.
And a criminal complaint which brought him into this court was filed the next day in consultation with the district attorney's office on August 27th of 2020. In your course of investigation, wrote a lengthy police report, approximately 57 pages.
Yes.
And that summarizes, for lack of a better word, much of your involvement in this case, not all of it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm referring to page of your report, 55 of 57. You received a thumb drive from the FBI, correct?
Detective Ansaramian received that thumb drive.
You viewed information from the videos of that thumb drive.
Sorry, I was thinking about the drone footage, or the fixed wing aircraft footage that we saw here. That was obtained by Detective Ansaramian, but I also received a thumb drive, yes, from the FBI.
And specifically, I'm referring to FBI video AE5, if we could have that on the screen. And I'm going to read from your report and tell me if I'm reading correctly, and then we'll play the video.
Okay.
It's on. Page 55 of 57, second to last paragraph, stating in your words, at 41 seconds into the video, something appears to draw the attention of the videographer. The video quickly pans to the right, parent to the north, close parent, and directly to Kyle Rittenhouse and Joseph Rosenbaum. When the video reaches them, a male voice is heard yelling, "Gun, gun, gun. You won't do shit, motherfucker!" exclamation mark. This appears to be Joseph Rosenbaum yelling. Do you remember that?
Yes.
This is the video you're speaking of?
Yes.
Okay, please play the video. Started at 1.
Duramax just got... that Duramax got fucking beat, yo. Damn, homies out here. Bro. This guy almost slapped. Bro, damn. Whooping.
You heard that at 41 seconds?
Yes.
And that was, could we go back 10 seconds? Back 10 seconds.
Damn.
Stop. And in the upper right of the exhibit, I'm pointing right now at Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse, correct?
Correct.
Right behind him is the masked Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Correct.
And you hear the words that Mr. Rosenbaum uses, and you opine that that is in fact Mr. Rosenbaum's voice, correct?
Yes.
And that opinion is based upon you listening to other videos that have Mr. Rosenbaum's voice on them, correct?
Yes, and also what is depicted in the video.
Okay. And that's Kyle with a gun and Mr. Rosenbaum chasing him.
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Detective Howard, I just have a few follow-up questions. Yesterday you were asked about that search warrant that you obtained for Mr. Grosskreuz's phone. Is that correct?
Correct.
At the time that you obtained that search warrant, did you consider Mr. Grosskreutz to be a victim of a crime?
Yes.
You mentioned something called Marcy's Law yesterday. What is that, as you understand it?
Marcy's Law is a relatively new law in the state of Wisconsin which grants victims more rights.
I would ask the court to take judicial notice that on April 7th, 2020, Wisconsin voters amended the Wisconsin State Constitution under a ballot initiative called Marcy's Law. That took effect on May 4th, 2020. Will the court take judicial notice of that?
There are some things that even lawyers can't argue about, and they can be put in a category called judicial notice. For example, no one could reasonably contend that Christmas doesn't fall on the 25th of December, so that can be judicially noticed, and the lawyers are agreed in this case that that something not in dispute in this case is that the voters on the date which he's indicated approved an amendment to the Wisconsin Constitution that is called, I don't know if its official name is Marcy's Law, but it's It's everyday usage. The name is Marcy's Law. Any question about that? That was adopted as part of the state constitution. And what was the date?
The effective date was May 4th, 2020.
Okay, it was not adopted on that date, but became effective as of that date. Okay, thank you.
The Exhibit 37, the search warrant for Gage Grosskreutz, was obtained approximately 4 months after that on September 23rd, 2020. Does that sound right to you?
Correct.
And I think you mentioned yesterday that at that time it wasn't clear to you and the department what the effect of Marcy's Law and those enhanced protections for victims would have on your ability to get search warrants for phones in this type of situation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so my intent when I wrote the search warrant was to obtain more information, and I was not thinking about Marcy's Law as I was writing the search warrant, but started thinking about it afterwards and wanted to err on the side of caution in respect of Mr. Grosskreitz's rights.
You were also asked questions about whether or not your interviews with certain people were recorded. Can you explain to the jury what the normal practice is as a detective with the Kenosha Police Department when you decide what interviews you do are going to be recorded and which ones you may not record?
We typically will always record a custodial subject. Those interviews will always be in a recorded interview room. Typically, we will put witnesses and complainants in non-recording interview rooms to obtain their statement. In this investigation, we put a lot of witnesses in. Well, we have 4 rooms, interview rooms, in our detective bureau. 3 of which are always recording, no matter what. And one of these rooms is delegated as a room that we will put complaining witnesses and witnesses in that room, so we can conduct an interview without it being recorded. The interviews that we conducted throughout the course of this investigation, we didn't intend to interview or record all of them, but some of those interviews were taking place inside of interview rooms that are always recording. So when we were able to go back, we were able to, even though we didn't intend to record those, we were able to pull those. But the ones that were conducted in the interview room that isn't always recording, there isn't a record, a video and audio of that.
Is it fair to say, Detective, that when you're dealing with someone that you consider to be the victim of a crime, you typically do not record those interviews with audio or visual? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
You were asked a question regarding the individual who has not been identified, the individual who came in and attempted to kick Mr. Rittenhouse in the face. And you indicated, despite your efforts, that person has not come forward and you've not been able to identify him. Is that correct?
Correct.
In the 14 months that you've been investigating this case, have you experienced individuals who have been reluctant to come forward and provide information?
We experienced a lot of reluctance in gathering information in this investigation.
Why do you think that is?
Sounds like it.
Fair enough. You were asked a question regarding Mr. Rosenbaum, and at some point during the evening there's an allegation that he was holding a chain. You've seen photos or something to that effect, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Based on your investigation and your understanding of the timing of all of the events of that evening, do you know approximately when in the evening Mr. Rosenbaum had that chain?
I know location is going to be the area of St. James, because based on the information that we were able to gather, it appears that he obtained that chain from the St. James campus. And so it's hard to put an exact time on it, but I would estimate a couple hours before the incident at Sheridan and 63rd takes place.
Before you were shot by the defendant?
Yes.
In your investigation, have you seen any indication that Mr. Rosenbaum possessed that chain at the Ultimate gas station on the southeast corner of 60th and Sheridan?
No.
The defense has alluded to Mr. Rosenbaum being involved in verbal disputes, altercations, whatever you want to call them, there's a dumpster involved, etc. At any point in any of those scenes at Ultimate Gas Station, does Mr. Rosenbaum have any sort of weapon in his hand?
Just a plastic bag.
Just the plastic bag?
Yes.
No gun?
No.
No knife?
No.
No chain?
Not at Ultimate Gas, no.
No baseball bat or club or any kind like that?
No.
As far as you can tell in all those videos, is the only thing he's ever holding in his hand that plastic bag?
Say, south of 60th Street, yes.
You've seen the video of Mr. Rosenbaum walking south on Sheridan towards the 63rd Street car source where he is shot by the defendant, correct?
Yes.
As he's walking down that street, is there any indication at any point that he's ever armed with anything?
Just the plastic bag in his hand.
Doesn't have a gun, correct?
Correct.
No knife?
No knife.
This is a different part of the sequence. No gun?
No.
No knife?
No.
No baseball bat or club?
No.
No chain?
No.
Obviously, in the end, at the time that he is shot and killed by the defendant at the 63rd Street car source, is there any evidence in the record of any kind that you've seen as the lead detective in the case that Mr. Rosenbaum was armed with a weapon?
No, he had the plastic bag which he threw and then had nothing in his hands after that.
I want to talk about that incident at the 63rd car source where the defendant shoots and kills the defendant, or Mr. Rosenbaum. Can we please pull up exhibit number 19? Can we please play exhibit number 19? This is the video that is entitled Drew Hernandez Shooting Video. For the record, I'm just going to point out the parties as they're walking here. For the jury's benefit, we've heard testimony about this. This is a video that's taken as people are walking south on Sheridan towards the 63rd Car Street. This individual is Richie McGinnis, and this is the defendant in front of him. Agreed? Yes. Please continue. Detective Howard, on the screen there, it appears to show the car source dealership, correct?
The car source at 63rd and Sheridan, yes.
Okay. And would you help us to understand, maybe using the laser pointer on the map, approximately where this person would be standing when they're taking this video?
Right. Drew Hernandez at this time is on the north end of the car source, so looks like he's standing in the grass if you look at the bottom of the screen. So I'd say he's right about here, and his video is pointing south into the parking lot. So I'd put him right about here in the grass.
The property that you are pointing to there on the map, which is just to the north of the car source, what is located on that lot?
That's one house.
So this individual, Mr. Hernandez, is in the yard of that house. Is that fair to say?
Yes, this house right here.
Okay.
And the grass right there.
All right, please continue the video. Lower right-hand corner of that screen, there appears to be an object laying on the ground. Do you see that?
Yes.
Can you identify that for us?
That is the plastic bag that Joseph Rosenbaum can be seen throwing in other videos.
All right, please continue the video. Can we now please go back and show the FBI, actually no, I'm sorry. I believe it is exhibit number 25. The FBI video with markings, please. Detective Howard, in this exhibit number 25, I think we've already established that person of interest number 1 with the circle around him is Joseph Rosenbaum. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this shows where he runs immediately upon entering the car source lot. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury, based on what you're seeing there, where it appears he's located at the moment of this video?
Pretty close to where Drew Hernandez was standing in the last video we watched. So this right here is going to be that. I'd put Mr. Rosenbaum right about here at the far north end of the car source parking lot. I think it's important to note that on this map, the car source lot is filled with cars, but as we can see in the aerial footage, it's not filled with cars at this point in time. So I would put him right about Mr. Rosenbaum right about here.
Okay. Please continue the video for just a couple more seconds, then I'll have you stop. All right. Go ahead and stop that, please. Now, can we go back to the last video, which is exhibit number 19?
The bailiff advises, I'm sorry, but someone had inquired about whether using the laser on the screen, and I can't tell you why, but the lasers do not work on the screen. That's why we have to use Sister Marcian's pointer for that. And there it is. But, and I knew it well. But, I apologize that we don't have, I don't know whatever.
Can we please play exhibit number 19? Detective Howard, after watching that last video, which showed the movements of Mr. Rosenbaum, are you able to tell on this video, I know this doesn't show Mr. Rosenbaum in the proximity of where he originally went when he got to car source, but are you able to tell on this video where he went initially? Does that make sense?
I would put him at the approximately the front passenger tire of that white sedan, adjacent to where that gentleman is standing.
Okay. Thank you. Now, there's been a lot of testimony regarding the shot that was fired by Joshua Zeminski. Did Joshua Zeminski fire that shot in the direction of any particular person?
Objection. He doesn't know that.
If he knows, he can answer. Well, how would he know? You're going to have to set the foundation as to how
Absolutely.
he would know.
Have you watched the videos that show Mr. Zeminski firing that shot?
Yes.
Where is he pointing the gun?
Straight up in the air.
You also testified that the lapse in time between that gunshot and the defendant shooting Mr. Rosenbaum was 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds. Is that right?
Approximately, yes.
You said you based that on timing it with a stopwatch?
Yes.
Did you do that based on one of the videos in the case?
No, I believe I did it with approximately 5 or 6 of the videos.
So you went through 5 or 6 videos, and each one of them timed it with a stopwatch and determined that they're all right about 2.5 seconds?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
In video 19, which was just shown, and you pointed to the... Can you bring that up? Where they're standing on the grass. Mr. Hernandez. Bring it up, please. Just go forward to further. A little bit more. Stop. You can play from there, please. Stop. When you talk about the white sedan, that's the one that's centered right in the middle of the frame now that's been frozen, correct?
Correct.
And it's your belief in sinking in your mind when looking at the aerial footage that he would have went up approximately to the driver's side passenger tire?
No, you said the driver's side passenger tire. The passengers, the front passenger tire, I would approximate that's where Mr. Rosenbaum went.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are we talking here or between these two vehicles? And when I'm pointing at the vehicle, I'm pointing at the white sedan and what looks to be like a silver late model Cadillac.
I would estimate the white sedan that's closer to us in this video.
So you're saying he's here,
I would estimate there.
okay, and not between these two vehicles, correct?
That's my estimation,
Can
yes.
we have the video that was just shown to him, the aerial video, please? Stop. Person of interest 1 is Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a vehicle I'm pointing at right here, which is the vehicle nearest the only house on that block.
Yes.
So he's not on the passenger side, he's between what I would refer to as, if the Duramax is car number 1, there's car number 2, the late model Cadillac, and then the white sedan.
Yes.
So he's between them.
That's what appeared. The FBI has a better depiction of that, yes.
So when you testify that he was at the passenger side of the white vehicle, that's not correct.
Not correct.
And you see person of interest 1, which is my client, Mr. Rittenhouse, he doesn't go into these cars after him, correct?
Oh, he's person of interest 2 on this video, and Mr. Rittenhouse does not. He stays closer to the sidewalk area.
And he walks down in this location to the corner of the Duramax vehicle,
In that approximate area, yes.
where he's then, the individual comes up from behind him, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Mr. Rosenbaum comes around those vehicles towards Mr. Rittenhouse.
And we're not suggesting, or excuse me, you're not suggesting that there was more than one chase, correct?
at any point in the evening, or?
No, just car source 3 that night at approximately 11:50 p.m.
On this car source property, I observed one chase.
And you testified on redirect about Marcy's Law. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you were told by someone, or Detective Antarami was told by somebody about Marcy's Law, and you couldn't go in the phone even though there was a signed search warrant, correct?
It was erring on the side of caution.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your department went into Mr. Huber's phone without a search warrant.
He's deceased.
He's still a complaining witness, decedent, or victim, however you want to label him, correct?
I think it's different if someone is deceased, then they don't even have the ability to give consent.
Their estate, correct? What I'm getting at is, you went in the phone without a warrant for Mr. Huber, correct?
We don't need search warrants if they're deceased.
That's your opinion, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you went and you got a search warrant, which you drafted and were the affiant, meaning you swore to it, for Mr. Grosskreitz's phone, correct?
Correct.
And then it was never executed, correct?
No, because I did not feel comfortable with my knowledge of Marcy's Law, and I wanted to err on the side of caution with that.
He's nodding at you right now, isn't he?
He's what?
I'm pointing at Mr. Binger as he's nodding at you, correct?
I was not even looking at Mr. Binger, I was looking at you.
Okay, last night, during the break overnight, did you talk about this testimony?
No.
Nobody from, can I finish the question?
You can finish.
Nobody from the Racine Kenosha District Attorney's Office about this issue, never talked about it?
No.
Okay, if you don't have a search warrant, you can get into the phone other ways, correct?
Which phone are we talking about?
Grosskreitz's.
I see you have consent on one side or a search warrant on the other side.
Okay, and consent was asked for, correct?
Correct.
Was turned down, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further. Nothing further, I said, I'm sorry.
You may step down, sir.